Good evening. How are you? It's Friday, the 9th of December. I have not done any Christmas shopping. Probably won't until like the 20th, I'm guessing. As a real estate agent, one of the best things in the world is like I don't have to go at 5 o'clock or after to go buy gifts during the holiday season. I also don't have to go on the weekends where things are just crazy from Thanksgiving to Christmas. Although I don't think it's like it was when I was a kid when there was like no way to buy something online. You had to go to the physical stores. What are my friends and family going to get this year for Christmas? I don't know. I'm not. One of the best things that's ever happened to me is my wife decided to say yes to marrying me, and she takes care of most Christmas items. I used to give away cash because I figured that was the best thing to give away. There was this economic study that said there was no, that was the best thing you could give, and I figured why not? So that's what I would do. I kept thinking yesterday was Friday. And so now that it is Friday today, I'm a little confused. I also lost some of my day yesterday. I went and picked up my wife from work. And then I was working on getting ready for the live stream and a bunch of other stuff. And I ate dinner. And then I noticed some things weren't the same in the house. Apparently I had done those things while I was still thinking about the show last night. If you get a chance, the last two shows have been pretty good. I have to admit, I don't know. Some days they go well, and some days they just don't. But the last two were very, very good for me. I have some showings tomorrow. If I do a live stream, tomorrow it'll be, they'll talk about what I see in the marketplace. But from what I see, things aren't going real well. I mean, as an agent, I'll just tell you my strategy. I mean, watching something come on the market now, it comes on the market. Sometimes people will say, well, you have to have all your offers in by a certain date. And so you say, you know what? I'm just not going to put an offer. I'll just wait. And the house doesn't go under contract. Then you have an opportunity to buy the house. Don't fight with 30 other people. It's pretty nice. Sometimes you don't get the house you want right away with that strategy, but why would you overpay in this market and the way it's going at this time? It doesn't make any sense. Tonight we have lots of stuff to discuss. We're going to talk about Olympics and maybe an addition to the Olympics that I think is sorely needed, and I feel like it goes along with our times. Then we're going to talk about some stuff I saw on Twitter because I like Twitter and I think that it has like so much information, and we can respond to the information that we see and see if it's anything like we're really seeing in the marketplace. And then finally, 3 articles tonight. There's 4 in the description, but there's only going to be 3. One of those is going to be a bummer, like not a very good article. So like if you're staying around, that'll be at the end. You may not want to stay to the complete end for that article because it's not that exciting, but it was, you can only have so many articles about how the housing market is terrible and read them all. So did want to do a little introduction. If you have just managed to land on my live stream and you're not a spammer, welcome. My name is John Schenk, and I am the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis. We're a small residential real estate firm, so small it's just me. And we mainly help buyers buy new homes and sellers sell theirs. In the evenings, right around 9 o'clock Central Time, I like to do the Deerwood Realty live stream, which is basically we take the news of the day, we digest it, we talk about some pop culture because how can you not? But it's never too heavy. Never too heavy. Before the live stream, I used to watch YouTube at night, and I never used to like to get riled up, I always like to get ready to go to bed kind of calm. So you're not going to get a lot of, I don't know, political bomb throwing. We're not going to wade into too many of the culture wars because I don't see any winners in that, except for people that propagate the culture wars. They do very well for themselves. Um, but yeah, that is the Deerwood Realty live stream. If you ever had a question, you could put it in the chat and I'd probably answer it. It's not like there's 1,000 people. If you ever had a question and you wanted to email it to me, or if you wanted to put it in the comments, I'd probably answer it because, quite frankly, I feel like that's a part of my live stream. So do it. Now, understand, I will give answers to pretty much any question. It doesn't have to be real estate related. I may not be right, but somehow I feel like in my past there was some sort of writer, kind of like a Dear Abby, an advice columnist, just in my previous life, and so I'll give advice. I wouldn't trust it, but I'll give it. And now when the real estate stuff, I'll give you my perspective. So many things I read on Reddit are like, I did like let me do a typical story from Reddit. Okay. I'm 29 years old. I have a job, but my credit is terrible. So I talked to this guy that's going to buy the house for me, and then we put the house under contract. I gave him like 17,000, and now he's not returning my calls. And what should I do? Now look, the last thing you should be doing is just to be on Reddit. I mean, you've bungled this whole deal to purchase a home. Okay, like you're in trouble. Like now you're just broadcasting, you're really in trouble. But yeah, I see that a lot. Just bad after bad after bad. I don't think, watch this. I don't think it's because of nefarious purposes. And I don't think that it's not because I don't believe it's because people are uneducated about, buying and selling a home. I think it's because they want to do it so much that they try to will it into being. They say, I may have crappy credit. I may not have a job. I may not, read anything about the, real estate news, or I may not know anything at all, but I'm going to buy a house. That usually ends up poorly. We don't need a stinking agent, right? Yeah. So anyway, is there anything from today that I can give you that would be of interest? Well, one thing I will tell this. I don't know if there's a good way to start, but let's see if I can do it. I don't want to criticize anyone. That's not my point. So here we go. Do you know how hard it is to get like service done? Like for home services, like for like a plumber or like an electrician? Like, are you under the impression that you could literally call someone and they'll show up within the day to fix your problem and not charge you an arm and a leg? Are you under that impression? Because I would think that's the way it should be, but that's not the way it is where I live in St. Louis. It is hard to find someone that isn't out there just looking to fleece you for all the trades. Now, I look, I want people to get paid. Don't get me wrong. I just think that right now we're at a place where it's really, really scary. Like I've been telling you with this plumber situation, I have looked high and low for a plumber that can just come out and give me a number. They're all 2 and 3 weeks out. I called 4 different plumbers. 2 had retired. 2 sold out to bigger companies. But anyway, I had this situation where I needed to get something done. And so I just talked to all my contacts and I was like, can someone help me? Because I need this. It took a week and I finally got an appointment that I needed. And I've spent like 2 or 3 hours on this throughout the week. Okay. And so I go talk to the client. I say, hey, I got this situation under control. And they're like, Oh, I got somebody else doing it. Sorry. I'm like, so that was tonight. Um, I have a closing coming up. Things should be good on that. They seem to be pretty good, so I'm not worried about that. This weekend, other than showing houses, I'm gonna have to get this floor fixed. Look, there's about, I'd say, 5 things that I need to do within a certain amount of time. And I'll just tell you, I'm going out of town December 16th through the 18th, which is a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm not going to be live streaming on the 16th or the 17th. I might live stream on Sunday, the 18th, but I may not. I'll be traveling, and there's some things I need to get done before I go on that trip. One of the things that I should have done by now, but I don't, is the floor. The sewer line I haven't been putting it off because I've needed to get some other things done before the trip on the 16th. But they're all time consuming. And to be honest, on the floor, the way I have to dig out part of the floor in the basement, there's 3 places where you have to walk across a open pit. And I just don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to trip and fall. Anybody, myself for sure, but then the rest of my family as well. It's like, so I needed to track down some plywood, and I didn't want to buy plywood because it's expensive, especially since I didn't need like full sheets. In fact, I don't want full sheets because it was not going to fit anyway. So I was talking to a friend today, and he does have some. He does have some plywood. So tomorrow I will be picking that up, and I'll hopefully, after I show houses, working on the floor. I've got to get it done. I've got to get it done. I've got I've got that to do. I've got to do this thing. But we haven't had a sink now for how long? And my wife's putting up with it, but it's because she's an angel. Anyway, it's good to be out tonight. It's good to be talking to you. There's so many things I could be doing other than this, but this is kind of where I like to be. I like to go over the stuff, and so we will do that. Let's get to our first article of the night. Let me get the screen here ready. Now, let me frame this like this. Do you know anything about the Olympics? Always seems to be scandal with the Olympics. I've followed the Olympics a little bit on my channel. Like as of last year, the Winter Olympics had this Russian skater that had tested positive for a banned substance, but she was allowed to compete, and then she ended up not winning, but she was expected to win, and then it kind of died down after that. I've got a story today that I saw, and I just wanted to bring it to you because it's like anymore, the Olympics is like it should be just considered like the place where you should cheat. Like that's where the place that cheaters go. So let me get into this. It says, I don't want to criticize too much, but here's the headline. It says long jumper Izmir Smalya accused of cheating to qualify for the Olympics. Now look, cheating to qualify for the Olympics, cheating in the Olympics, the whole Olympics themselves, that's not unusual. That's not an except. That's like if you're not cheating, that's the exception to the rule. I don't know why people think that the Olympics are free from cheaters. When I was growing up, we had Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson. We also had somebody named Dan. I think his name was Dan Johnson. And he was going to go and win the something or other. But anyway, help me out whenever you can in the chat. It was Dan and somebody else, and they had these Nike commercials, and Dan and the other guy didn't do anything. They were terrible. Anyway, so Carl Lewis was an American. Ben Johnson was a Canadian. Ben Johnson won, I think it was the 100-meter dash or something. Anyway, come to find out he'd been using performance-enhancing drugs. And this is like in 1988. I think it was in Los Angeles. I'm not sure. It could have been 92. It could have been later. I don't know. The point is, that was the first time in my life I saw someone who won the race be disqualified for using drugs. And so then Carl Lewis, I think, won by default. So ever since then, I've kind of been like, there's cheating. Now that's me in the 80s, early 90s. So I realize now just that I've dated myself horribly. For you, maybe the Russian figure skater was the first cheating incident that you saw. Just know you'll see many, many more throughout your life. Well, let's get into this. It says Monaco, a long jumper, and two officials from Albania could face bans after they were accused of submitting false information that helped the athlete get a spot at the Tokyo Olympics last year. Well, okay. It says the Athletic Integrity Unit said Friday it had charged long jumper Izmir Smalja, Albanian Track Federation President J.G. Ruli, and the Federation's General's Security Nikolin Dionisi with disciplinary offenses over a competition held in Albania in May 2021, 2 months before the Tokyo Olympics. They are all provisionally suspended until the case resolved. Now, to tell you what kind of a rock I live under, I have forgotten that there was an Olympics in 2021. It was literally last year, and I had no idea. The idea that we had the Olympics, we had the Olympics while there was Corona going on. This is the first I've even heard of that. Crazy. It says Somalia was named as the competition winner with a national record jump of 8.16 meters. So they're saying this guy jumped further than anyone else in the nation of Albania. I don't know that they're known for their long jumping. Do you? Anyway, it's alleged that false information was submitted to World Athletics and the AIU in support of his competition result. The AIU said Somalia's result wasn't good enough to qualify for the Olympics outright, but he got a place under the universality rule that allows countries to send one male or female athlete to the Olympic track events. Those athletes still have to apply with evidence of their technical level and experience of international events to persuade officials to grant them a place. Now, I don't know. If Albania had like a huge contingent at the Olympics. It says Somalia jumped 7.86 meters at the Olympics as he failed to qualify for the final. I don't think that's too shabby. I don't know that I could jump very far right now. It says the AIU said in September that Albania was one of 7 countries on a competition manipulation watch list, along with Turkey, Uzbekistan, Moldova, Georgia, Kyrgyzstan, and Armenia. I mean, he's done it before, though. Look, Izmir Smalja at the 2018 Europa Championships. It's not like they just found some guy to go jump. Look, in 2017, he was there. It says it's not the first time the Tokyo Olympic qualifiers have allegedly been manipulated. Swimming's world governing body, FINA, said last year there was nefarious behavior around 2 swim meets in Uzbekistan just before the Olympics and refused to recognize the results. An Indian swimmer who took part in one of the meets said the results were faked and that he'd been offered a bribe to keep quiet. So the guy cheated to get in the Olympics. Now look, I have been told, or I have perceived, that Olympics, like sports, are like bigger in Europe, like, track and field. And I mean, if you said, hey, John, name the fastest runner right now, I got nothing. I have no idea. Name the world's best pole vaulter. I couldn't tell you. Name one Olympian athlete, like summer or winter. I got nothing. But this got me thinking. Like, I can't be the only one that's kind of noticed that there's a lot of cheating that goes on, like in the run up to and in the Olympics. So I saw this little article here. I wanted to go over it with you. It's the famous Olympic cheaters. Now, I'll let you know if I know of any of these ahead of time. Okay, here we go. The Olympics is about the true spirit of sportsmanship and celebrates some of the finest, most prolific sports people of all time. That's weird. Sports people? Put that in the chat if you know what a sports person is. Unfortunately, not all winners have got ahead of the fair and legal way, as cheating in the Olympics and Winter Olympics is just about as old as the game itself. That's my understanding. And it's not that, like, I'm not trying to denigrate the athletes for cheating. I'm just saying I think that's a part of it. Like, I think that you have to be a good cheater to be good at the Olympics. Now, I've seen people say, "Oh no, I didn't cheat. I did it the right way," and it's like, I don't care. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people cheating in the Olympics. Anyway, it says, let's look at 9 of the most well-known examples. Now, I don't know if these are the most well-known. It says that. So here we go. Ben Johnson. That's the one I was talking about. It says in the 1998 Seoul Olympics, Canadian Ben Johnson won the gold medal for the 100-meter dash. However, just a day after his big win, he tested positive for an anabolic steroid and was stripped of his medal. It was then awarded to American Carl Lewis, who ironically had tested positive for stimulants during the 1988 trials, but this had been overturned by the U.S. Olympic Committee. I don't know if Carl Lewis was on any sort of meds, but I will say this: he was very good at the time, and he was a multi-star athlete. I believe he was in the 200-meter dash as well. Okay, here we go. Then it's Madeline and Margaret De Jesus. It's like something out of a Hollywood movie. Puerto Rican twins Madeline and Margaret De Jesus attempted to outsmart the 1984 Los Angeles Games. When Madeline hurt herself while competing in the long jump, she sent her identical twin sister Margaret to compete in the 4x400 meter relay. Once the chief coach of the Puerto Rican Olympics team discovered what they'd done, he pulled out the entire team from the Olympics. Now, look, I wasn't aware that Puerto Rico had their own Olympics team. And I'm not trying to belittle the people of Puerto Rico. I just had no idea. And then, like, I don't remember this. Okay. I remember the opening ceremonies of the Los Angeles Olympics. It was held at the, like, where USC used to play. And all I can remember is there was a lot of people dancing like men in cowboy hats. And it was like this stereotypical "we're Americans" thing, but it was very, very off-putting. Not because of cowboys. I mean, there's no, but dancing cowboys in Los Angeles. So the other thing here is, I mean, are the twins good enough? Like, could one be replaced for the other? Nobody know, like, talent wise. Anyway, Fred Loris, I didn't know about this ahead of time. I wanted to go over this with you though. An early example of Olympics cheating: American Fred Loris won the marathon in the 1904 Olympic game in St. Louis. I'm in St. Louis. I grew up here, born and raised, they say. Problem is, he actually had stopped running at the 9-mile mark, claiming exhaustion, and given a lift by his coach in a car for 11 miles, only for him to then run the remaining part. When spectators complained that he had not run the whole race, the title was given to fellow American Thomas Hicks, who had also got some help in the race as he used the performance-enhancing drug strychnine. 1904. Spiridon Bellicus, another American marathon cheater in 1896, spirited and achieved third place in the race, only for it to be discovered that he had completed part of it by horse and carriage. He was disqualified as the first two winners were Greek. His disqualification deprived the home country from winning the top three prizes in the race. Marion Jones. Now, I didn't think this was that big a deal, but I guess it was anyway. American sprinter and long jumper shot to fame in the 2000 Sydney Games when she won 3 gold medals and 2 bronze medals. Suspicions quickly rose, not because of her incredible feats, but more importantly because her husband, an American shot putter, tested positive for steroids. She vehemently denied any illegal doings until in 2007, when she admitted she had used steroids in training for the Sydney Games. All of her medals were stripped. Marion Jones. I remember that one with the shot putter. He's a big dude. And by the way, like, I don't know now, but we had that girl in 1984. I want to say her first name's Carrie. I don't even remember. Oh my God. I'm going to have to look it up. Please hold. Mary Lou Retton. What did I say? Like K? 1984. She was an American. Like she literally became famous, like big time. Like even now, like I mean I didn't remember her name, but I'm having trouble with names tonight. Mary Lou Retton, 1984. I was only born in 1977, so I mean, you got to forgive me a little bit. But yeah, she was famous. Carl Lewis was famous. Dan and the other guy. Let's go look at that since we're here. Dan and Dave. Oh, you idiot. I was so close. And then it suggested something else and I missed it. Dan and Dave was an advertising and merchandising campaign by American shoe manufacturer Reebok during the build-up of the 1992 Summer Olympics in Barcelona, which I've also forgotten about. It says, however, the campaign had to be modified when O'Brien failed to qualify for the Olympics. So, uh, yeah, so here goes. And then, so anyway, it says Reebok's plan went arrive 5 weeks before the games began, when O'Brien failed to qualify for the Olympic team by missing the pole vault during the Olympics trials in New Orleans. This resulted in the modifying the television spots to feature Dan cheering Dave on. It says then it says Dan and Dave made O'Brien and Johnson both unknowns outside the world of track and field into household names in the United States. Yes, I don't even know what they do. Like I don't know even what their sport was. Anyway, it said the campaign led to both receiving endorsements from other companies, including O'Brien with Nike in 1993. Despite a foot injury, Johnson won a bronze medal in Barcelona. He retired from competition shortly after the games. O'Brien went on to win a gold medal at the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. But again, like no one was paying attention at that point. No offense. I really don't remember what they did. Oh, they're decathletes. Eh. Anyway, yeah, Dan and Dave. I'm sorry I went off path. Anyway, Boris Onyshenko. In the 1976 Olympics, Ukrainian Boris cheated while fencing British opponent Jim Fox by having modified his weapon with a click that tallied up his score without him actually touching the opponent's weapon. The British team exposed his cheating. He was disqualified from the games, and the press labeled him Boris the Cheat. Fined in his home country of Ukraine, he is last known to be working as a taxi driver in Kiev. Yeah. Tunisian modern pentathlon team. In the 1960 Rome Games, the Tunisian modern pentathlon team got off to an epically poor start. To start off, each member fell off of their horses, followed by another athlete almost drowning, and then another disqualified from the shooting section because he accidentally almost shot a judge. To ease off the humiliation during the fencing competition, they simply sent their best fencer back for each part, hoping the fencing mask would be good enough. A disguise, believe it or not, this cheating attempt failed, and the entire team was thrown out of the games. Let me look that up too, because again, I don't know. I got to make sure that. Okay. Didn't know if Tunisia was still a country. It is. It is. So that's good. All right. Then we got the East German female swimmers. The women's East German swimmers did exceptionally well throughout the 70s and 80s Olympics. However, steroid use was long suspected, especially considering the members' noticeably deep voices and exceptionally muscular frames. I do remember that. I do remember people saying, like, well, at the time that was okay. Like, these women look like dudes. Now it's, I don't even understand what's going on now. Anyway, but while they denied steroid use for many years, in 1991, the team admitted they had indeed used these legal performance-enhancing drugs. But it took until 1991. This is to me, this is like that dude, Lance Armstrong. Like, that guy was winning races left and right, and he's like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't use anything. I survived cancer. I'm fine. And then he retired or something, or other people started winning, and they would get caught for using performance, and he'd be like, no, you guys are terrible. You shouldn't cheat. And then it's like, oh, by the way, yeah, I was a cheater. Okay, here's one. Dora Ratjen won the women's high jump record in the 1936 Berlin Olympics. There was just one slight problem. Dora was actually horsed. Years later, Horst claimed that he was ordered by the Nazis to pose as a woman for the sake of the honor and the glory of Germany. He lived the life of a female athlete for 3 years. So yeah, I mean, I hope that the guy from Albania, I wouldn't say learns from his mistakes, because he was just doing what everyone does to get in the Olympics. You got to get in the show. Fake it till you make it. And he's a qualified athlete. He was at events. I mean, we saw pictures of it. What Olympic sport would I be good at? None. At this point, none. I mean, and here we go. We had the Olympic trials in St. Louis once, and that was going to portend to us getting the Olympics again. I think this was in the mid 90s. And the reason why I think that is because I remember a friend getting us tickets for the, what's that thing called? Ping pong? Yeah. Ping pong championships. Man, that was something else to see him going at it live. And then we would try to do it when we were at the house. All right. Well, that's the best I can do. That's the best I can do. We're moving on. Moving on, Deerwood Realty. I fixed the picture situation. Fixed. Can you see it? I got to make sure you can see it. Oh, no, you can't here. Oh, gosh. Now I got to. There you go. Almost messed everything up. There, it's right there. Deerwood Realty now blogging in addition to live streaming because I don't have enough to do. Let's get down to our mortgage rates for today. Where did they close? 30-year fixed 6.38%. That's an increase of 6 basis points from yesterday. The Freddie Mac, which you'll see quoted, will be a 6.33% rate because they update it weekly. So a 30-year fix for them is going to be 6.33%. That's going to be down 28 basis points from a high last week of 6.61%. What does this mean? Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in detail soon with one of the articles. But what I would say to you is this. I disagree with the idea. I'm not convinced that when mortgage rates go down, mortgage applications go up. There, I said it. I'm a rebel. Let's get to some tweets. Trisha Balsizer, realtor, message to sellers, it isn't different this time and your house isn't special. It's true. It's true. I run into real problems when I live stream and when I post stuff on social media because I mean, this is true. Okay. But if you're an agent and you go into a showing and tell someone that it's not, that it's not different this time and that your house isn't special, they will just promptly show you the door. You can call any number of the 6,000 to 8,000 real estate agents we have in St. Louis to list their house for sale for whatever price they want, as is their right. By the way, I'm just looking over here and it says Fire Rhonda Rusi. I don't know why you would want to do that. I don't know what she's done. I don't know what she's currently doing. She was a wrestler at one point and a fighter at one point, and I don't know what she's doing now. I'd check it, but we're busy doing real estate. Shlomo Chopp. He's responding to this. It says, BlackRock says get ready for a recession unlike any other, and what worked in the past won't work now. BlackRock should stop being so negative, he says. Now, is this a joke? Or is it more than a joke? I say that because doesn't it matter? One of the things about the economy is, or I've seen in my own life, if people believe that the economy is doing badly, then it will. If enough people think the economy is terrible, it will be terrible. Similarly, if enough people think the economy is going well, it will go well. It's very odd. I saw it in Michigan in like 2007, 2008. Automakers were going out of business left and right. People got scared, so they stopped buying things. Well, that just caused the economy there to just tank. Okay, but the people that were going to work every day, the auto workers and everything, they were there. I mean, they were still making money. The engineers were still there making money. It was that the perception was things were bad, and so they were. I don't know. I see bad coming. I see bad. We talked about this a couple times recently. The idea the Fed might pivot to a 4% inflation target versus a 2% inflation target leads me to believe that they feel that they can't get down to 2%. And that would allow them to lower the borrowing rate to stimulate the economy more, which Peter Schiff says will cause more inflation eventually because they're not doing enough to bring it down, which requires people losing their jobs. which no politician wants to have on their hands. So, quite the conundrum. I'll leave that up to the experts. But, maybe they should stop being so negative. Not as a joke, even. This is Danielle DiMartino Booth, and she wrote, "The edifice is crumbling. Lennar circulating lists of 5,000 properties to potential acquirers. Many of the properties located in the Southwest and Southeast, with the builder giving landlords a chance to acquire entire subdivisions in some cases." Now, I don't know the details of this too much, other than what I would say is like, look, are these 5,000 properties built, or are these $5,000 or 5,000 properties to be built, or are these 5,000 lots of which there aren't anything built, but they've been approved to have buildings on them? I mean, what is the stage that these are in? Lance Lambert chimes in with, for perspective, 5,000 properties is around the entire inventory level of Kansas City, the 31st biggest market in the country. Then Ty Keating comes in and says they dug their own grave and they can rot in it. When business was great, they decided that brokers didn't matter and cut the commissions to 1%, 0.75%, and even a few $100s in some cases. It was a terrible business decision, and here we are. And you know what? I agree with that. I hate working with home builders when the market is going gangbusters for them because they're jerks. They do everything they can to not pay out. Okay. Now in Missouri so far, where I live in St. Louis, I've had good relations with all the builders when I have brought my buyers in to look. But I think I'm the exception to the rule. Don't hit my commission, man. I spend time on these deals. I don't like home builders that do that. Let's do it this way. In St. Louis, would I steer my buyers away from an outfit that at one point in time ditched me on a commission? You bet. You bet. Does that make me a bad person? I don't care. You say there's a house, but like say there's a city and there's two builders. They're both building similar products, same prices. One builder screwed you over, the other one didn't. My buyer says, "Hey, do you know anything about these two?" So, "Yeah, I don't know that I like that builder there, but this one here is pretty good. Had a lot of success with them." I'm not lying. It's true. I don't have any. And then Texas Runner DFW, who is a regular on our show, at least on the tweets, it says, "Remains to be seen if the single family build for rent neighborhood concept is going to be a giant disaster or not. I just don't know that that's a good idea." That was happening in like 2008, 2009. When I was around. I don't like the idea at all. Scary. Moving on. This is Alf. He's a macroeconomist. 100 years of history teaches us a recession has always led to a marked slowdown in inflation. The average recession took 16 months to bring inflation down from its peak to 2%, but it always did. If your money is on a recession with sticky inflation, this would be the first time ever. What he's saying is that you need a recession to bring down inflation because it's happened every single time in the last 100 years. Now, somebody may counter with that and say this time it's different, as we saw in our first tweet. This time it's different. Your house isn't that special. I don't know. What do you think? Look, CH, this guy or girl, they have charts. And sometimes I don't even understand the charts. And I'm putting that out there because, I don't want you to think I have some sort of God complex where I am all knowing. I'm not. The train is going and I'm just on the train. I'm just on the train. It's going down the tracks. I'm just on it. I'm observing from afar. So this particular Twitter user is just way past my level most of the time. But here I thought was an interesting chart. It says, perhaps we could also add into this talk who is served by these policies and who's being injured. So the Fed's fund rates and the Fed held mortgage-backed securities and the Fed held 10-year treasuries are going up. Okay. But rents are like going up almost in a straight line. The argument there is that the renters are being hurt by the Fed's policies, and then by extension, renters are traditionally not, they're going to be able to be buyers at some point in time, but they're not able to buy the current situation, and so you're hurting the most vulnerable of the population. That's the intuition. That's the insinuation. At least I added that layer. David Rosenberg, it says another blowout consumer credit report for October, 27 billion year to date. Credit card balances soared 130 billion, double of all of 2021. The surge financed 1/3 of spending this year, throws cold water on the view that balance sheets are in fine shape and replete with excess savings. This is why I get scared, because look, the whole Fed is like, oh, things are going to be fine. Everyone's got a great balance sheet, got nothing to worry about. But inflation ate into the balance sheet. Okay. People didn't stop spending, they just moved the spending to their credit cards. So this is bad. This is net bad. My opinion. Because I remember like there were two things that happened around 2007. One, like consumer credit, there had been like George Bush had put forth like bankruptcy protection to like chapter 14 or something that changed the way you could write off credit card debt. It might have been chapter 13, I'm sorry, in chapter 7. It dramatically changed those things. And then people weren't saving any money. In a high inflationary environment, why would you save money? The economic principle being that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. Well, during periods of high inflation, that's absolutely true. It's modern finance. So anyway, like somebody could say to you, the housing market's going to go down. And then you could say, it can't go down because people still have strong balance sheets. And then you could say, well, look, have you looked at the fact that credit card balances are through the roof? And then the person would say, so what? And I mean, that's the level of discourse we have in America. We used to. Anyway, Darth Powell, Zestimate meet reality. He's pulled something from Zestimate. Let's assume this is true. Okay. Zestimate 636,300. It was sold for 530. 3 bedrooms, 1,900 square feet. A bit high. That's why I always thought that Zillow and iBuying was a terrible idea, because their estimates are so wildly inaccurate. And I know that they spend a lot of time and money on investments and, trying to get something that's right. And they're even trying to use AI to get pictures of the inside of homes so they can make better determinations. But honestly, like coming from me, unless you actually go to a house, you have no idea what it looks like. Even if you have, even if you have 3D tours, even if you have beautiful pictures, even if you have video, the only way for you to know how a house really looks is if you go inside and take a look for yourself. These estimates, I mean, I've really never had a seller say, I want this estimate for this house. I've never had them say, let's list it for what this estimate says. Now, I don't know, like, there's certainly, there's no question that like people use Zillow to look for houses. In fact, their user interface is better than what we have right now. So I get it, or their UI, I'm sorry. But anyway, their estimate is just a joke, and it always has been. And I don't mean it to like, be mean. Anyway, Bill McBride is tweeting John Burns Real Estate School. John Burns Real Estate something, not school. In early December, 75% of nationally surveyed home builders confirmed they are buying down buyers' mortgage rates to make payments more affordable. 75%. 75% of home builders are buying down buyers' mortgage rates to make payments more affordable. That's a lot. How can they afford to do that? John Wake on Twitter. Remember on the way up, we had all those Californians and others paying way above list price and creating a new high comp and driving up prices for the whole neighborhood. Will those same people be crazy on the downside too and sell way below comps and drive down house prices? Very fascinating. The part of this whole issue is this idea that people are going to, like, say you buy a house, okay, towards the tail end of the housing boom. Experts believe that the people that bought those houses will gladly just pay on the money that they owe. All right. And they're totally good with like the house being maybe $100,000, $150,000 less than what they paid. They're going to continue to dutifully make payments because they've got a strong mortgage. And that defies anything I've seen in human nature. They will walk away from those payments immediately. And so if the market does go down, okay, just expect people to walk, and that's going to exacerbate the problem. But who's it going to exacerbate the problem for? Those who hold mortgages, expecting people to pay. So your financial institutions, not going to be good. I don't wish that, by the way. I don't wish any sadness. I don't wish any negativity on anyone. I just know that that's kind of the world we're living in. All right, well, we're done. We're done with the Twitter section. Let's move on to Zillow. They've got bold predictions for 2023, and let's just go over them, and I'll let you know if I think that's even plausible. Here we go. Midwestern markets will heat up. The more friends and family members will pool their money to buy homes together in 2023 as people look for new ways to overcome housing affordability crisis. However, that crisis will stabilize, if not improve, from its pre-pandemic era apex. New construction will be focused on rental units, and we should see a jump in homeowners becoming first-time landlords. These are among the slew of new predictions the Zillow Economic Research Team has made for 2023. Look, we'll never know what the future will bring. These could be just as right as me throwing darts at a dartboard. But let's see. It says Midwest to feature front and center in 2023. That's number one. With the grip in the pandemic, the Sun Belt had a strong pull on American movers, especially meeting last year's forecast for an aggressive rise to the housing market temps in 2022. Florida markets dominated the annual appreciation leaderboard in 22, with Tennessee, the Carolinas, and Texas metro areas peppering into the top spots among the 100 largest metros. The heat will stay on in the Sunshine State, to be sure, but as affordability has become the key driver of both supply and demand in the market, places that still feature reasonably priced prices are already seeing momentum shift their way and should have the healthiest housing markets in 2023. Enter the Midwest. Unlike every other region in the United States, prices in the Midwest, in most Midwest homes, haven't run up to the extremes. Mortgage costs as a share of income are still within healthy sub 30% levels across Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kansas, upstate New York, Iowa, and smaller metros in Illinois, which will allow first-time homebuyers to take the plunge. Lower rents and home prices in these areas make it easier to save up for a down payment. Having available houses to choose from is another key component of a healthy market in the Midwest stands out. Inventory isn't in a massive hole compared to pre-pandemic times, and declines in new listings are smaller than the national average, encouraged by the more consistent demand from buyers. I don't agree with that in St. Louis. I don't think people are moving to St. Louis like, oh, look, it's a good place to live. The cost of living is low. I don't see that. Like, you need to have jobs, like opportunity, and and if you can, like a decent climate. I think that this is a permanent feature now of our country where people will continue to move to sunny states over, you know, more places with 4 seasons like the Midwest. Winter is terrible. Buying with friends and family will gain momentum. I agree with that, okay? But it's not a good thing. I agree with the premise, but I think it's a terrible thing. I think it's a terrible thing that you can't afford. Even if you're a single person, a single professional, you should be able to afford it, at least a starter home. And if you're a married couple both working with a kid, you should be able to afford not necessarily a median priced home, but you should be able to buy something that's nice for you and your family. Like you should be able to afford that. That's part of the American dream. It shouldn't take like 60% of your income to have a house. That's just not right. And I say of your income, like your recurring income. I mean, I currently have one person that I sold a house to who has they're habitating. It's working out for them. Affordability crisis will stabilize if not improve. This is this this okay, let's see what they say and let's see what I think. It says affordability, the share of median income required to pay housing costs is the biggest challenge for buyers, sellers, and renters today. Monthly mortgage costs have doubled since 2019, driven by pandemic era price hikes and to an even greater degree by rapid mortgage rate growth this year. High mortgage rates are not only pushing buyers to the sidelines, they're tanking new inventory as homeowners decide to hang on to their current houses at low rates. Renters are not exempt from the madness. Rents have grown faster than wages, making it hard to save for a down payment. The average hourly wage has grown 23% over the past 5 years, but rents are up 37% during that time after a pandemic era surge. Affordability will continue to be the driving force in the housing market in 2023, but there's a decent chance it will improve. At the very least, markets should stabilize, making it possible for households to budget and plan for housing decisions coming up in the month and years ahead. Well, it's like I hate to say it, but the market is stable. Like it's definitely got a tone to it. It's just the problem is you're running into a situation where if you've got a mortgage below 3%, why in the world would you actively go out and look for a house that you're going to have to pay 7 and 8% to be in on a 30-year fixed? It just doesn't make any sense. It says Zillow expects national home buyers to remain relatively flat next year and even fall in the most affordability challenged markets. Mortgage rates, highly impactful to the mortgage payment, are seeing some recent encouraging progress downwards as inflation and labor market tightness shows small signs of easing, enough to lead some to suggest the Fed may ease its aggressive monetary contraction. If we've actually turned the corner on inflation, that should continue. Volatility in mortgage rates could continue through early 2023. However, an ongoing challenge for those who saw their ability to qualify for the same mortgage chain on a monthly basis or even a weekly basis this summer, rent growth should hew closer to historical norms next year. As well, annual growth has come down quickly from a massive peak of 17.1% in February to 9.6% year over year by October. Rents actually fell during the month of October, the first time in 2 years, a signal of a return to regular seasonal patterns. Meanwhile, builders are working to increase the supply of rental properties at a record pace. They're doing that in the face of dropping rents. I don't agree with that. I mean, that's a bold prediction. It's just not something I think is going to happen. I don't foresee that occurring. Surge in first-time landlords in 2023, the record low mortgage rates of 2020 and 21 spurred lots of investment in the second house, especially from mom and pop investors getting their second properties. Growth continues its aggressive pace. Many of these second homes have an even better potential to yield regular rental income above mortgage payment fixed with record low rates. The potential for record income bears expectations for stock markets in 2023, and the big pullback from home buyers due to the higher mortgage rates may reinforce the incentive to hold on to those investment properties, especially in areas like the Midwest Sun Belt, where housing formation and household demand is stronger. Rents should rise faster than home values over the next year, and many will choose to rent out their property. Yes, but how are they going? Look, you got this problem with that logic. How are you going to find a different house to buy at 7% mortgage rates since you're going to go ahead and rent yours out? You kind of got to be able to afford the second home. You kind of have to have a cushion there, or you're going to be in deep trouble. New construction strength will be in rentals. Despite a clear effort to pull back on permits and starts in single-family construction, the sheer number of units currently under construction after the pandemic construction boom will mean continued rolling deliveries to the market even as demand pulls back. This expected temporary glut in new homes available are driving price reductions for new construction and potentially in the existing market too, which will otherwise continue to experience low inventory levels as existing homeowners hold on to their homes and their record low mortgage rates. To mitigate the bloat in builders' portfolio of finished new homes, builders will encourage buyers with lower prices, but more impactfully to the affordability of that mortgage payment to offer to buy points and lower the mortgage rates of new construction buyers. Well, they're already doing that. It's not even 2023. Builders of multifamily units are, in contrast, much more bullish. The number of multifamily units to start construction each month has fairly steadily increased, reaching 8% up from the pre-pandemic. In October, elevated multifamily permits also point to a strong vote of confidence in continued demand for rental units despite looming recession fears. This confidence will also encourage more construction of build-for-rent homes, as many would-be homeowners would need to continue renting into later life stages if now unable to qualify and move forward with the purchase of their own. Again, that's not a good thing. Things look like a perfect storm of just bad, but whatever. CNBC, this is what I wanted to, well, that's not good. U.S. soccer journalist dies while covering the World Cup in Qatar. But that's not what we're here for. I'm going to close that out. I don't want to be distracted. Mortgage demand falls again, even as rates sink further. Now, see, that's what I was telling you in the beginning of the show today. Why is it that people make this narrative that says because rates go down, because mortgage rates go down, mortgage applications will go up? Not necessarily. Let's continue. I don't like the key points in CNBC. It's lower mortgage rates are pulling some current homeowners back to the refinance market, which that's even crazy. Why would you be refinancing at 6.3%? But not enough to offset the drop in demand from homebuyers. Mortgage application volume fell 1.9% last week compared with the previous week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association's seasonally adjusted index. The average contract interest rate for a 30-year fix with conforming loan balances decreased to 6.41% from 6.49%, with points decreasing from 0.63 to 0.68 for loans with a 20% down payment. That is 73 basis points lower than it was a month ago, but still more than 3 full percentage points higher than it was a year ago. Applications to refinance a home rose 5% for the week, but were still 86% lower than the same week 1 year ago. There's still precious few current borrowers who can benefit from a refinance at today's higher rates. Who can? Who would be able to? Like, how do you benefit from that? The refinance share of the mortgage activity increased to 28.7% of total applications from 26.1% the previous week. I just can't believe that. Who is refinancing their home now? Like, who told them that was a good idea? Really? Mortgage applications to purchase a home fell 3% for the week and were 40% lower than the same week 1 year ago. It says purchase activity slowed last week with a drop in conventional purchase applications, partially offset by an increase in FHA and USDA loan applications, noted Joe Kahn, an MBA economist, in a release. The average loan size for a home buyer application decreased to $387,300, its lowest level since January 2021, which is consistent with the slightly stronger government applications and a rapidly cooling home price environment. But see, the average loans, if the average median price of a home is still like $414,000, and the average loan size is $387,000, there's still like a disconnect. Mortgage rates haven't moved much this week, with no significant economic news making headlines. The next big shift will likely come next week with the much anticipated monthly read on inflation. Well, that's good. I'm looking forward to that. What is the Fed going to do? Is the Fed going to go to a 50 basis point hike instead of a 75, or what are we doing here? Here we go. Last article. I wanted to go over this because there is another article, but I'm going to save it for tomorrow if I do one. I want to go with like narrative, facts, finding a way. It says, if a newly elected congressman can't get an apartment, what about everyone else? It says the first member of Generation Z to be elected to Congress has a very big problem and can't get an apartment. I don't think it's that bad. If Maxwell Frost is a Democrat or a Republican, there's somebody in government that owns a place that will put him up for the time that he needs to be there. I believe this. It says Maxwell Frost, who will be representing the Orlando, Florida area, had his application for a Washington, D.C. apartment denied due to his poor credit score. If an incoming member of Congress can't secure housing, it doesn't bode well for regular folks looking for places to live within their budgets. This is true. This is why people live with their parents until they're 40. It's not good. He said, just applied to an apartment in DC where I told the guy my credit was really bad. He said I'd be fine, got denied, lost the apartment and the application fee, the 25-year-old Frost treated on Thursday. This ain't meant for people who don't already have money. Look, like you're 25 years old. You got a lot of life to live. One of those things is like, look, it's going to be expensive. Everything you do. It says nationally, rents have been rising rapidly this year, forcing many tenants to double and triple out, downsize, or move further out. Some renters have even undergone bidding wars to secure places to live as there's more renters competing for affordable units than there are units to go around. This is all, it sounds like this is true, but how did we just see that rents were dropping 8%, or they dropped like 19% over the past year? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It says in the DC metropolitan area, rents were a median at $2,126 in October, up 4.9% over the same time last year, according to the most recent Realtor.com data. The congressman-elect, a Democrat, applied for a unit in a building a little more than a mile from the U.S. Capitol in the Navy Yard neighborhood, according to the Washington Post. He was denied and lost his $50 application fee. Well, it was an application fee, so he didn't really lose it. It was paid so that the guy could run your credit, which was terrible. He tweeted that he built up some debt during the campaign. He had quit his job and was driving for Uber so he could campaign full time. I was excited because I'd finally found a place that made sense for me that was in my price range. It's just enforcement. They said, unfortunate, they said you can call and dispute the result, but I said, I don't know what I'd be disputing. I have bad credit. I admit it. Now that's fair. He did nothing wrong. Modest one-bedroom units in the Navy Yards typically start around $2,800 a month, while studios generally begin about $2,600 a month. So they're saying that he tried to apply for insinuating that he tried to apply for a $2,600 or $2,800 mortgage or rental. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Even athletes earning more than $1 million a year often struggle to find apartments if they have poor or no credit. These landlords don't make exceptions for anyone. The only way to get around issues with bad credit is if you pay a full year's rent or half year's rent up front. Yeah, it's true. And if you do have bad credit and you do pay your whole rent up front, it tends to make people think that maybe the unit's going to be destroyed by the time you leave. Most Washington, D.C. landlords won't accept tenants who have credit scores below 700. Renters can get around this if they have an individual cosigner with a higher score, usually a family member of the renter. It's not uncommon for politicians to struggle to find affordable places to live in the nation's capital, especially younger members of Congress. Some sleep on the couches in their office, or members of the same party will rent places together as roommates. Tweeted Frost Rep Orlando Ocasio-Cortez went through something similar in 2018, and it's still a problem. I also recognize I'm speaking from a point of privilege. Because of my 2-year time, my credit will be okay because of my new salary that starts next year. We have to do better for the whole country. I don't know what that means. This is where it got weird. Okay. So the guy's trying to rent a $2,800 or $2,600 a month rental. I'm not saying that I know that as a fact. I'm reading it from the article. I looked up houses for rent in Washington, D.C. Now, look, there's some dicey parts of Washington, D.C. Let's be honest. But I mean, look, $615 for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet. Okay. There's one, $625, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Now, are they in the best parts of town? I don't know. I don't know my Washington, D.C. areas. 650, 685, 750, 750, 775, 782, 800, 840, 825. So what's this guy doing looking at $2,800 a month rentals? You say, well, it's not close to work. Well, you know what? It's like, why do you think you're entitled to something like when you're starting out in life? Like, why do you think that everything is just handed to you and everything's perfect? Like, what if you're 60 years old and have to live in a $800 apartment? It's like people have blinders on. Just to go over this, he's not worried because his first year he's going to make 174,000, and if he plays it as well as some of the other Republicans and Democrats, what's that guy's name? Dan Crenshaw, Nancy Pelosi. Look at what they've managed to do with their time in the office. They managed to make wonderful stock trades that beat the market every year. Very strange how that happens. Don't forget, there's all kinds of military lobbying to take advantage of. So he's going to be fine as long as he can keep his job. That's all I'm going to do for tonight on that. My point being, look, based on what I see, it's possible. It's entirely possible that he can't rent an apartment, at least for $2,200, $2,800. If he went down to like $650, it may be a dangerous place. It may not be a place you'd actually want to live, but he's going to be fine. I don't feel sorry for him. And as far as him fixing the rest of the housing market for rentals, I just don't see it. Because again, like, you have to have a credit history. I mean, I get that. It's hard. Life isn't easy. There's nothing that the government's going to be able to do to stop house prices from going up, rentals from going up, other than economic decisions that hurt other people. I hope you understand what I was saying there. I didn't say it very well. My point is he'll get through this. He'll be fine. And he probably doesn't need to do anything at all. Just if we could have sound monetary policy and consistent monetary policy, I think we'd be fine. That being said, I'm going to head out. I think I'm going to I bought some turtles, the chocolates. I think I'm going to have 2 of those. I'm going to go to bed. I'm tired. It's 10 o'clock here on the, I was going to say on the coast, but we're in the middle of Missouri. We're in St. Louis. No coast around us. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you maybe tomorrow. I'll let you know on Twitter or YouTube. Bye.